Yo, what is up, guys? First of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me, and it means even more to yourself that you're like taking the first step and considering doing something about your life and the position you're in with fitness or your business or your family, your lifestyle, whatever it is that you're trying to make a change with. Before we get into the video, I just want to say there's a whole lot. We cover like a whole lot in there about the program. Um, it's going to be a long one. If you want, you can chuck it on like 1.5 times speed or 1.25 times speed and watch it through and do it that way. Or you could pause and come back when you have more time. You don't have to watch it all in one sitting, of course, but do watch it all. There's a lot about me in there. There's a lot about the program, and I think you'll get value out of it regardless of whether you decide it's for you or it's not for you. And you'll know by the end of the video whether that's the case or not. So yeah, thank you. Stick around and enjoy. Alrighty, thank you guys for being here. Just give me 1 second. Just make sure we've got the slides working. Very good. Cool. I was going to spitball this, but then I figured I'd probably go off in a tangent, so I did want to script it. So it's a little bit scripted, just so that it goes with the slides. Otherwise, I'll be all over the shop. So anyway, before we get started, thanks for being here. This is the Salty Ethos. We're going to transform your body and mind in 90 days or less. So to get started, what is it? Essentially, we are helping lost men find discipline, drop body fat, and build a body that people respect in 90 days or less, using what this is, the Salty Ethos. It's my no bullshit coaching method designed for men who've slipped and they know it. It's built on structure, intensity, radical self-responsibility, and the discipline that most people avoid. And look, to be honest, this isn't wellness, it's war. And it works. If you're a skinny or overweight guy aged between 25 and 55 and you want to go from feeling invisible, disrespected and undesirable to muscular, confident and in control in 180 days or less, using the Salty Ethos coaching method, without spending more than 4 hours in the gym per week, giving up your favourite foods or falling off track, then this video is for you. Let's see if I can move my head out of the way for you here. Beautiful. Right, so before we go any further, let me just be clear, like this isn't a theory. I'm not just some shredded guy who's never struggled and now just lectures people from a pedestal. Like, I've lived both extremes. I grew up skinny. I got bullied at school for being skinny. I rebuilt myself from that, made a pretty good physique for myself, and ended up becoming a soldier in the Defence Force. And since then, I've built like a disciplined, results-driven method, and now I can help others do the same. So everything I'm about to share with you is forged in experience and not just some bullshit TikTok trend. So, who is this for? If you're a man between 25 and 55 and you feel like something's missing, you look in the mirror and you hate what you see. You're either too skinny, you're too fat, or maybe you're skinny fat, you're both. You want to feel respected by women, by your colleagues, by your kids, even by that motherfucker across the street that doesn't stop staring at you, then this is for you. Maybe you want to finally build a body that you're proud of, impress people who matter the most to you, and a mindset that doesn't crumble under pressure. Maybe you're sick of following influencers with zero relatability, selling band-aid solutions that leave you back at square one. You know, maybe you just know that you're more destined for better things. If you feel lost, stuck, tired of being a maybe someday guy, then this is for you. Who this is not for. If you're looking for a magic pill, this is not for you. If you're not willing to be honest with yourself and myself whilst putting in consistent effort, then this is also not for you. If you think that discipline's toxic, you're not going to enjoy this. I'm a very disciplined person. And if you're offended by like directness, I have a very no bullshit coaching approach, so you won't last in this either. This method is for grown men who want change and not excuses. Move on, shall we? So the core truth that no one tells you. Here's the truth about getting fit and strong and confident and, all those things. You can get lean and muscular in literally 6 months or less. You don't have to live in the gym. You don't have to cut out carbohydrates. You don't have to obsess over macros. I'll be doing that for you. And to be honest, most men can't do this on their own because they don't understand 3 key things. Number 1 is how to build a system around their lifestyle that makes discipline easy and not exhausting. Number 2 would be how to hardwire their mindset to view hard things and as non-negotiable and empowering. And number 3 would be how to take full responsibility for their own choices without spiraling into shame or self-sabotage, just like fully dropping downhill like that. To be honest, most guys just keep chasing like short form hacks, just going to YouTube or Instagram and watching whatever the first fitness influencer that comes up is doing, and then look, that's not going to get you results. Most people never build grit. They keep relapsing because they're not like addressing the root cause. They're not taking accountability for it, and it just leads to a whole plethora of issues. Anyway, that's why I created the Salty Ethos, so you don't have to guess anymore. So let's have a little chat about my upbringing. Depends how deep I want to go, but it's a fairly long story, so bear with me. It began around the age of 8 or 9. I started getting bullied from other kids in school for being too skinny. I'm sure a lot of you have probably had the same thing, or maybe you're too fat. Look, let's be honest, I'd say 90% of us are bullied in school. And a good 10% of us are doing the bullying, or maybe both. But anyway, I was getting called like many names, like in relation to being a skeleton. And, despite not letting it affect me on the outside, it definitely deeply like ingrained itself into my psyche. And I was also never naturally gifted in like any sort of like athletics. I literally came dead last in every sporting event that I entered up until like grade 7, where I just decided I'm just going to stop entering. And that's pretty sad, but it's true. It probably wasn't until about grade 10 when I was like failing quite badly in school. I was threatened to be held back a year, and I was just not going to have that. So I asked mum, kind of as like a joke at the time. I was like, can you send me to boarding school? And look, a few weeks later, she came back to me and she's like, I've enrolled you in a boarding school. And I told her there's no fucking chance that I'm going to a boarding school. But look, when you're secretly a mama's boy, you kind of just accept it and agree. So anyway, fast forward a couple of weeks, and I'm driving 4 hours south to have my first interview with the school principal. Driving into the school, I literally saw nothing but dry grass, literal mile-long fences, livestock, horses, cows, and just the smell of horse shit filling my nose the whole way. Like I'll never forget that. When we finally reached the school, I actually breathed a sigh of relief, as I thought that my mum was playing an elaborate prank on me, because it just did not seem like a school at all. And she's the type to play a prank for her own benefit. The school was kind of, doesn't matter too much, but it basically looked like a farm. Had cattle on one side, sheep on the other, horses on the other side. It was literally just surrounded by animals. And I'm a guy from the city, so that was pretty strange for me. I'd never even heard of the term equine It was an equine school, just like a horse school. Anyway, eventually the reality settled in, and I found myself pretty at home at boarding school, surprisingly enough. I still was participating in like all the old shit that I was doing, so I was like smoking cigarettes and just being a right old cunt in class. Anyway, one day I was caught doing some shit. I think I was caught smoking. And then I was sentenced to like before school detention with the gym teacher, Mr. Hauser. This dude was like a hardcore Christian guy. He once played in the Wallabies, and I think he coached the Wallabies as well, the Australian rugby union team. Who was hard, disciplined. He didn't have time for bullshit at all. But at the same time, he really did have like a heart of gold. Although that heart was probably encased in brick and mortar or something. Anyway, when it became time for my before school detention, I had to wake up at literally 5 a.m. Excuse me. Got to stay caffeinated. I literally had to wake up at 5 a.m. in the dead of winter. It was below freezing, I'd say. It was dark outside. There was literally ice like on the grass and pavements. He told me to meet him at the school gym. And when I got there, he started off by asking me if I'd ever played volleyball before. You might have wondered why the hell there's a picture of a volleyball net here. To which I pretty much like laughed and said that there's only girls that play volleyball. And, you know, like I was terrible at sports, so I was looking for any excuse to just like rag the game anyway. It could have been football and I would have said something bad about it. I just had no interest in any sort of physical activity at the time, so unless it involves smoking pot or running from the cops, then yeah, I just wasn't into it. Anyway, he said that my punishment for all of my wrongdoings would be to learn volleyball with him. 3 mornings. It was a 3-morning detention. 3 icy, cold-ass early mornings in a row was all it took for me to become absolutely well and truly hooked in the sport of volleyball. This literally consumed my life to the point that I would often wake up by myself on those icy-ass mornings to practice alone. In the cold-ass gym, I would use my lunch break to practice in that gym. And I ended up starting a school volleyball team after a while, with his help, of course. This is honestly the first time in my life that I genuinely experienced purpose. Before that, I didn't really know what this feeling was. And I think there's a lot of guys that are kind of in that position as well. Like I was definitely lucky in a sense to experience this so young. But like there's so many guys that might not experience this until they're in their 40s or 50s even. You could go your whole life just basically lost and not getting this feeling, because it really is like finding a sense of purpose really is a feeling. It's quite insane. And as a kid, you know, like your emotions are even higher. So this was like insane for me. I pretty much instantly quit smoking and quit all the bad shit that I was doing. I was still probably a little rat in class. I didn't like authority, so I never got on with my teachers very well. But yeah, anyway, I ended up becoming like the captain for the volleyball team and the trainer for the volleyball team. This is like in year 10, 11, and there's so many more like achievements that come out of that. We played outdoor, like in the public essentially, like not against other schools. That was a whole lot of fun. When you go to boarding school, you don't really get a lot of time away from the school, so any chance that you get is awesome, and to be able to play sport away from the school it was super fun. So that gave me even more of a sense of purpose. So was always grateful for that. Anyway, it basically, having this purpose is essentially like what gave me the confidence that I needed to become my own man. And out of that, I ended up becoming the dorm captain for the dormitory. It's kind of like, think of school captain, but like far less accomplished. it's not even like school captain. There was like 6 of us. I had like a 1 in 6 chance, if I'm being honest with myself. But anyway, I'm going to put it down to the confidence that I had from volleyball and my newfound kind of manhood, if you want to put it that way. Anyway, that's pretty much all for volleyball, but let's talk about the guy who changed everything. The man who I think had like the biggest role in me becoming like who I was, like the dorm captain and like all of those sorts of things, was a guy named Richo. Now, Richo was like a dorm parent, as they call it, and essentially held the position of like caretaking, but also acted like a father figure to all the boys. I'd say he well exceeded both of those roles, but who should be surprised given that this guy was literally an ex-serviceman with multiple university degrees and heaps of achievements under his belt, and I think he is well too qualified to be doing that job. But anyway, Richo was like one of the biggest dudes. No, he was the biggest dude I've ever met in my life, especially at that time. And so instantly I kind of had some sort of respect for him. And then on top of that, he's like so smart and like disciplined, and something in me just took admiration to that. So he became like a second father almost to some extent. I mean, when you're spending your whole time at school around like heaps of other children, essentially, anyone like that, it's pretty easy to look up to. But yeah, he definitely played a big role in that. He eventually like kind of got us boys to compete in like push-up competitions and had full-on training sessions together in our super shitty gym with like literally rusty, I'm sure you can picture him, like rusty old dumbbells and like a super shitty bench that you'd lay on, and even as like a 60-kilo child, I felt like it was going to break. I'm not sure how Big Richo could stay on that without it snapping, but anyway, we made it work. So my first gym was definitely a humble one. Anyway, this is essentially where I got my introduction to strength training and hypertrophy training, and for the first time in my life, I kind of noticed that I thought, like, at the time, that I was going through like big body changes. Like, I noticed hypertrophy. Looking back at it now, it probably wasn't all that. It was probably just a little bit of swelling from getting blood in my muscles for the first time ever. Anyway, it really did mean something to me at the time. So with all of this newfound purpose, throw that on top, I was kind of like, my confidence was kind of soaring. I look back at it now and I was still completely insecure. But like, look, what kid at age 16 isn't? Anyway, as soon as I was old enough for a gym membership, I signed up for a gym. Only lasted about 3 months though before I stopped showing up, because I wasn't really seeing any serious progress and I felt like it was a waste of time. And by this stage, I was out of school and like working a part-time job at a bar. I really didn't have much direction, which is kind of ironic because I was on such a good path before this. Sorry, it's so cold. I need a heater on in here. And I'm drinking a cold Monster. It really doesn't help, does it? The secret to all the gains, by the way. Caffeine. That's not really. Anyway, my time in boarding school kind of taught me a lot about discipline and structure, which are two values that like I would essentially end up carrying with me into my army years. So I joined the army 2 years after I left school. Where do I look good? Beautiful. That'll do. 2 years after I left school. No, it wasn't even that. It was a year after I left school. And it kind of had been my dream since maybe year 10, 11, since meeting Richo and Mr. Hauser, the gym teacher, and kind of getting that discipline into me and the kind of grit that they had. It kind of inspired me to do something similar, and the army was all about that sort of thing, or at least so I thought. Anyway, in the army, to continue on with my training, like we trained like a lot of different styles of training. It was kind of a mix between strongman and CrossFit and powerlifting and too much cardio, like more cardio than anyone should ever have to do in their lives. It was kind of like I don't know what you'd say, I guess like a big stir fry of different forms of exercise, which really isn't ideal now that I know more about exercise. Like you do kind of want to specify like which one you want to do and kind of train a certain way for one certain thing. And there's not one that's better than the other, but there's definitely like mixing them all together isn't really helping you. Mixing anything together like that's just not going to do you any favors. You want to become proficient in something, and then you want to slowly get better at that thing over time. So the army definitely got me fit though, because no matter what we were doing, it was like cardio heavy, intense, and it got you fit. Like there's no way it wouldn't. Anyway, my recurring spree of coming in last during like different sporting events was far from over. In the army, there's always a guy that's like better than you at everything, and you know you could bet there's a guy that's better than him at everything. The one thing I'd say that I had on my side though was true determination that I could be better. Maybe not better than each and every guy in every scenario, but better than the guy that I was yesterday. And I think that's what's important with everyone. I think that you shouldn't strive to be better than anyone else. Sure, competition's healthy, but you want to be better than the guy that you were yesterday, because that's the only way you can get better. Because if you're better than this guy today, and then you're trying to be better than another guy tomorrow, what's not to say that you're just going backwards and finding people that aren't very good to be better at things at. Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, I spent like heaps of days with this mentality. You know, the mentality that like you've got to be better than the guy that you were yesterday. Days turn to weeks, weeks to years, you know, and before I kind of knew it, I had reached like this level of fitness that if you had have told me years ago would happen, I would not have believed you. I wouldn't have even known that it existed. And I think a lot of guys who have been in the military probably can relate to this. And if you haven't, then it's unlikely that you can relate to it. But it's an extreme level of fitness. Like nothing that you do outside of the military is going to have you end up being tired. Now, this is not me saying go and join the military, because I think it's too much. I think it's unnecessary for a civilian, but maybe necessary for if you're in the military. But to join the military just to get fit is unnecessary. You don't need to do that. Spare yourself the things that come along with that. Anyway, never in my life would I have thought that was possible to get that fit. I was far from being like the strongest or like the fastest or even the most disciplined guy in the army. I was, however, a peak version of myself, even to this day. The old me probably would have looked up to the guy that I'd become and thought a whole lot of him. But yeah, anyway, look, fast forward like a few more years to when I decide it's time for me to leave the army. I'm a bit older, I'm slightly wiser, maybe not. I'm way more jaded about life. I'm carrying a plethora of injuries to go with it. And look, to be honest, by this time I'd developed like a serious passion for like working out, the fitness industry. And I knew that the gym was kind of where I wanted to be every day, every afternoon. Every spare moment of my time was invested in learning about what supplements to take, which fads were worth trying, which ones were bullshit, what exercises were good, which ones were great even. And look, I went from like, as you can see here, 69 kilos to 90 kilos in that span that I was in the army. And that's pretty impressive considering you do so much running and so little eating and so much sleeping in the dirt. Anyway, 90 kilos for me, looking back now, is nothing. And the fact that I even weighed 69 kilos at some point is insane. I'm weighing around 105 right now. But look, 2 years after the army, or once I was out of the army for 2 years, let me just change this slide here. It's not going to happen. Yeah, as I was saying, after I left the army, I managed to bulk to a pretty disgusting 125 kilos. But look, I'd taken it way too far. For the first time in my life ever, being skinny wasn't the issue. And it was kind of time for me to redirect all of that energy into learning caloric restriction, learning how to track macros, learning a few of the things that I'm going to teach you, but also do for you if you decide to join this mentorship. By this stage, I was relatively familiar with the laws of thermodynamics. There's one for you. And I knew that I just had to find my maintenance calories, and from there, I'd slowly reverse and cut out of that 125 kilogram point, which was huge. I mean, the fact that I can even see 150 on there is insane. And I know there's a lot of guys that are probably over that mark. And trust me, the heavier you weigh, the faster you can lose weight. I mean, proportionately to your body, like percentage-wise, you can lose weight fast. And losing weight fast isn't that impressive either when you consider that you have to keep it off. That's the hard part. Once you lose weight, knowing these systems to keep the weight off is like more important, arguably, because otherwise it's so easy to just pack that weight straight back on, and you'll pack it on 5 times faster than you lost it as well, with 100 times more ease, because it's not an easy thing to do, but it's important, and you'll thank yourself for it, and everyone around you will thank you for it. But anyway, over the years I kind of followed like multiple diets, basically coached myself into some pretty respectable physiques, and I've also been coached by some pretty fantastic professionals within the space. I even have a coach right now. And I think everyone, apologies guys, just had some messages come through that I needed to deal with. Anyway, as I was saying, most coaches have a coach. A good coach will have a coach. So I'm getting coached right now by a brilliant coach. And it's essentially for the purpose of keeping yourself accountable, and also professional education, because coaches learn things and teach the people they're coaching those things, and it kind of just goes down the ladder, right? I'm being coached right now. My coach has a coach, and his coach would have a coach too. It's kind of like a strange ladder, and maybe one day you'll be coaching someone as well, who knows? But yeah, one thing kind of never changed though, and I was only ever really in it for myself up until this stage. I'd always be asked by people for training programs or what they should or shouldn't eat, or like meal programs. And look, I was always happy to give them that. And like, I was always asked for supplement advice and things like that. And I was always happy to say yes to that. But I didn't like spend a whole lot of time thinking about coaching other people. And I think if I had have spent half the time that I spent learning about all of these things to do with fitness and health and training, then I probably wouldn't know half the things I know now. But I'd probably also have coached hundreds of people, and still relatively successfully. But in one way, I'm definitely glad that I spent that extra time learning and just being absolutely obsessed within the space. I read scientific papers on every sort of thing, and just spent too much time obsessing, to be honest. But anyway, since I allocated like so much time to learning that, I think I'm probably better as a mentor now. And look, who knows? Maybe coaching for longer would have been better for me, but I'm definitely happy with where I'm at now in terms of like knowledge and information, and that's only ever going to improve. So all good coaches are always improving their knowledge, and that's, as I said before, that's why they get coached. So yeah, that brings us to today, and like the reason that I decided to kind of, let's see if this is going to work again. There we go. The reason that I decided to create the Salty Ethos, where do you want me? There we go. Look at that. Perfect. I decided it was kind of time for me to share my knowledge after years of like relentlessly pursuing a better version of myself through fitness, through lifestyle habits. And yeah, anyway, why am I telling you all of this? Like, in my experience, I've come to the realization that it takes the assistance of other people who have walked the path before you. And this kind of goes back to the whole coaching thing. But in order to be able to achieve that same success, yeah, you need to listen to other people that have been there. Anyway, these experiences kind of have taught me what mental discipline like actually kind of is. It's not punishment. It's not suffering. What it really is like structure. It's taking ownership for yourself. And it's kind of like an inner power. Not power in the general sense of the words, but like kind of having discipline is having the power within yourself to say yes to things, to say no to things, to basically do things for you when you know that that's what you should be doing. Anyway, my goal here now is kind of just to help other guys find that structure within their own lives. And you don't have to join the army to do it. You can listen to someone who's been there and done it. Anyway, let me just walk you through kind of how we're going to do this. Pretty great slideshow, hey, when I can't hit a single button to just move the slides. But hey, it's working. So we have like a 4-phase system, and I'll take you through that now. I'll take you through it relatively in depth, and then once you're in the program, you're going to find out a whole lot more, and it'll probably make a whole lot more sense. I didn't want to pull up full images of the program on here, just because like I'll have programs laid out and people might take that and run with it, and it's not a plan that's built for them, so it's not ideal. Anyway, this is kind of how we do it. It's not a fitness program. It's like a system. It's built around who you are now and essentially who you can become. We're not going to just throw you meal plans and like hope for the best. We build your system with you. It's going to remove friction and ideally install discipline in you. So let me just... There we go. The buttons are working again. Let's just walk you through it. So phase 1 is the reset. And this will be complete within under 72 hours. Essentially, like, we're going to have a questionnaire for you. That'll be one of the first things that you get. It'll have like, your basic foods that you like, allergies, injuries, your current habits, questions about your lifestyle, your body composition, and a big thing is also your mindset. Anyway, so what that's going to do is going to allow us to help strip away kind of the overwhelm, and it's going to help me to form a clear target for you. And we're going to aim to get you your small win or your small first win, like very quickly. We want to get a win in the books for you as fast as we can do that. And look, that's the whole point of phase one. So we've got the reset, the rebuild, and in the rebuild, it's essentially custom training that's going to be built around your schedule. Won't have anything to do with my schedule or anyone else's. It'll be based on the questions I asked you. It'll be built from that. We'll have a nutritional strategy that's going to fit your life. That doesn't mean that you have to not eat your favorite foods. You can still keep those in there within reason. If your favorite food's pizza, like it is mine, you might have to make some small changes. You'll still be able to make your own pizzas at home though, and on the odd occasion, depending on what we're doing with you. If you've got a whole lot of fat to come off, then maybe you'll have to say goodbye to pizza just for a little bit. But it's not gone forever, trust me. I still have pizza every now and then for sure. It's my favorite. We're going to have a tailored supplement list specifically for you. It's going to help improve your sleep, your well-being, your cognitive function. We're going to create habit stacking. We're going to lock in some discipline by doing that, and then you won't have to rely on motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Motivation's bullshit. Discipline's a constant. Discipline's where it's at. It's good to be motivated every now and then, and if you need motivation, you can definitely find that if you're looking for it. But relying on motivation is it's kind of for losers, because you're not always motivated. When you have discipline, motivation doesn't matter, because you get the things done that need to be done. Anyway, but yeah, let me move on. Phase 3, the reinforcement. Phase 3 is kind of ongoing. Excuse me. It's going to be weekly check-ins where we'll adjust the plans and help you level up. You're going to have access to 24/7 support from me. So whenever you're stuck or confused, you can send me a message. I'll get back to you, help you out with whatever you're dealing with. And you're also going to have, in phase 3, mindset coaching. So we're going to kill off your old identity, and we're going to kind of mold a new one for you, because we don't want you in the same mindset that you've been in for however many years now, because mindset is the reason you are where you are. Mindset's the reason that you're watching this video, and mindset's also the reason that you've decided that it might be time for a change, which is awesome. So you've definitely got that good mindset in there, but we just need to bring that out and get rid of essentially the old you. So yeah, phase 4, the salty feedback loop. Sounds silly. By the way, I didn't explain why the program's called Salty. I should probably just throw that in there real quick. When I was in the army, you were told not to have your name in your Instagram bio. So I had Salty Beetroot for many years now, and it kind of just stuck. And that's the short and sweet story behind the Salty. Yeah. Stupid. Anyway, the salty feedback loop. The better your results get, the easier discipline's going to become for you. You're going to see progress, and then you're going to crave progress. You're going to see progress, and you're going to crave more progress. Through that progress, you're going to want to train more. You're going to want to fuel your body better with the right foods. You're not going to crave pizza as much. You'll smell a pizza, and you'll want a pizza because you're human. But you're not going to just be sitting there going, oh, I can't eat this, I need a pizza. Because that's a poor man's mindset. That's a fat man's mindset. And that's probably the mindset that you want to adopt, though, if you're trying to put on weight. Not really. There's better ways to do it. But yeah, the people around you in phase 4, they're going to start to notice a shift. Confidence, it kind of compounds, right? You get a little bit confident, and it just stacks upon itself, because when you're confident, things start changing, and they make you more confident, right? It's kind of just a bit of a feedback loop, and that's the feedback loop that we're trying to build. So look, let's go a little more in depth because I know you want to know the specifics about this. This is kind of just pretty vague, I guess. So let's talk about phase 1 real quick. Is this going to work? Yes, there we go. Phase 1 of the reset. I know I talked about this briefly before, but let's go in depth. It's going to be a fast-paced administrative stage, and we aim to kind of have that complete in under 72 hours. Look, it's essentially, I kind of went over most of it already, but it is the most important phase. I need you to be honest with me in phase 1. We'll have a lot of back and forth. You can expect pretty specific questions, ranging from like basic info, like what food do you like, allergies, as I said before, any injuries that you have. I need to know that when I'm forming your training plan. And then the questions are going to get also relatively personal, like what sort of things take you to a dark place, how you see yourself currently as a man, if there's issues with your personal or sex life even. Those are all things that are actually going to be relevant in me forming your mindset plan going forward. So yeah, it's very important that you don't have to answer any of these questions, of course, but the more questions you do answer, the better, to be honest. It's going to make my job easier, and it's going to get you better results. So as specific as you can be with these, or as specific as you want to be, is perfect. But yeah, like the reason that I'm asking why I want to know like what takes you to a dark place is because that can change from being a fear to being used as a motivation. So when that discipline kind of just isn't quite there, we can use things like that to motivate you. And I'm not here to try and be a psychologist or anything, but it's just little tricks that I've used for myself, and I know a lot of other athletes use them. So yeah, important stuff. But yeah, you can be as specific or unspecific as you like. I enjoy monsters way too much. But yeah, what else do we have on here? Have I missed anything? Let me just think for a second. I think that's good for phase 1. We essentially just want to ensure that like it's as optimal as possible, and that it gives you like the smallest chance possible of fucking anything up. So that's why phase 1 is important, to just be honest, and we get as much information as possible. You'll also get, this one thing I forgot, you're going to get a video during phase 1 that I'll send you after you've sent me all of your information that I request. That'll be in a form. And the video will be like a pre-recorded video letter. It's going to have like on-screen instructions, plus the documents that you need for your own referral. So everything will be written down, so that it's like clear and easy to understand, and there's not going to be any mistakes or any questions. But yeah, I guess I don't think there's anything I've missed there. If there is, you'll find out anyway. So phase 2, the rebuild. Once the plan's set, we move on to phase 2. You're going to have everything you need to get started, and I'll have everything that I need to initiate with you. So yeah, we'll fire the starting gun, bang. You'll have the correct maintenance calories figured out with under 2 weeks. It shouldn't take me longer than 2 weeks to figure it out with you, unless you're not sticking to the plan. But if you're serious about this, I expect that in 2 weeks, you shouldn't have fallen off the plan already. Like, I expect you to be pretty on point within 2 weeks. I'll give you the plan, you stick to it. And if you can't do that within 2 weeks, then we're going to have slight issues. But don't worry, we'll work through them. The aim is to get you measurable results as well within the first 3 to 4 weeks. So we want you so locked in within the first like 14 to 21 days that we start to see this snowball effect. And once we see that, everything good in your life will begin to compound, like I was saying before. Phase 2 is going to see you with a training program that suits your lifestyle. It's going to respect your time. It'll take into account like your level of training, your ability to recover, like your injuries, as I said before, anything else that I deem necessary for that program. Once we've had our initial onboarding call, you'll have a clearly laid out meal plan as well. You're going to have in-app access to the meal plan and the training plan, and you're going to be able to chop and change your meals, like within reason anyway. By the way, quick tip. The better that you stick to the training plan, the more, let's say, free range you're going to have to make changes within that meal plan and to like kind of go out and have meals with people, or, you know, if you're in a cutting phase, it's going to be relatively strict, but the stricter you are with it and not cheating on the diet plan when you're at home, the easier it's going to be for us to kind of throw in a few tasty meals here and there and not have it affect the dieting too much. So yeah, just thought that was probably a pretty, I'll throw it in there now, you're going to find out later anyway. We'll probably have a similar chat when we talk. Anyway, we're going to go through what macronutrients in this chat and what calories are and like why they're so important. And we're going to talk about how you can use them to your advantage and kind of like always be the smartest eater in the room without having to say no to any foods. When I go out now, like I can kind of, I'm not going to say I'm always the smartest eater in the room because I hang around a lot of intelligent people, but look, I can definitely choose foods a lot more wisely now, and you'll know kind of what it's doing in your body and how it's gonna benefit you or not benefit you at all. You'll have a structured supplement plan they'll put together for you, and it's going to be tailored specifically to you and your goals, obviously. Look, side note, I was should I say this? Yeah, fuck it. I was actually denied jobs at local nutrition shops near me because I told them a little too much about how much I know about the nutrition industry and the scams that go on within the industry. So I literally reached out to these places for jobs, and like when I had interviews or when I was speaking to them in the store, I kind of got a bit too cocky and decided to tell them why certain supplements weren't worth buying, which is the opposite to what you want, obviously, as a business owner in a supplement store. But this is a good thing for you because it means you're not going to waste your money, and I'll be giving you the best supplement advice that you can really get. So yeah, good thing for you, bad thing for me way back when. Anyway, we'll give you, as I've spoken about this already, but yeah, you're going to have a mindset program. This stuff all stacks in together. And look, when all is said and done, the only thing that separates you from the current you and being like a respectable motherfucker is your mindset. This program will change based on your goals. The whole program will change based on your goals. And look, phase 3 is going to be ongoing. Phase 3 is not like specifically a phase, it is an ongoing phase. And it's going to see you making like weekly check-ins with myself, so that we can keep you accountable, but also just to change the program like as I need to, because you're never going to get anywhere with a one-size-fits-all program. And I've never had the approach of a one-size-fits-all. If you want a one-size-fits-all program, you can go and buy a $20 cookie cutter training program from someone and guarantee that if it works on you, it'll be 5% of what could be working on you, essentially. We could get it 95% better at least. But yeah, anyway, you're going to have 24/7 text access to myself. So yeah, any questions that you have about food or training or supplements or even like psychological or moral questions, you're going to have that sort of support. The whole concept of phase 3 is to remold your current identity into someone who others look to for advice, like someone who doesn't let hedonism get in the way of who they are, like someone who's confident in themselves and knows what they deserve because they know they've put in the work. But yeah, Look, phase 4, it doesn't really need much explanation because once you get there, you're going to be so far ahead of all of this that like the semantics won't even matter. And if you don't make it, let me just, yeah. Look, if you don't make it, it's because you didn't want it enough to begin with. And put simply, stage 4 is kind of where those people who you look up to, that's where they are right now. So all of those are, I won't say all the fitness influencers because a lot of them are just born with insane genetics and haven't really had to do much. And you just look back a few years and you can tell that nothing's changed in the past few years. But look, all the people, the respectable people you look up to now, stage 4 is where they are. Camera's about to die, so I'll try and smash this out. But yeah, look, all those people are kind of like once in the same place as you. They knew they were meant to be more. They didn't let any obstacles stop them, and now look where they are. You walk past stage 4 men every day. They might not have like a sign above their head or like a golden plaque around their neck, but look, you don't need one because you should know what I'm talking about. Like you sense their presence when they enter the room. Like they know who they are as a man. They know that nobody's going to outwork them. They know that no obstacle's too big and no mountain too tall. Bit cringy, I know, but it's true. And look, they've proven it. And day after day, and this is the big thing, day after day, they continue to prove it. So I want to get you so deep into phase 4 that you kind of forget why you ever even needed to hire me to begin with. You know, like the former version of you should become a distant memory. Like who you are now, I don't want you to remember that person. It should be a bad dream or like a sour thought. And look, this might sound like bullshit, but I promise you that this is achievable in literally in under 90 days. In under 3 months, you can become a brand new person. If you put in the work that's required, you can be a brand new human in less than a year, easily. And I'm proof of this. There's so many other people that have done it as well. But look, it's not, it probably sounds like this big thing, but all it takes is just a few lifestyle changes. And your mindset shift that's going to happen is just like, it's phenomenal. So look, once you start with the Salty Ethos, you're essentially all of the phase 4 men that you see around you, if you notice them or not, they've all walked the same path. So they've all been there. You'll be able to relate heaps to a whole lot of people. You'll be able to relate to everyone because you've been in the position of the people in the same position you are now, and you're going to be in the position of the people that you admire and look up to as well. This is going to like pay dividends into the rest of your life. Like this isn't just a fitness thing. This is going to have an impact on your business, family life, any profession or hobbies that you have, literally everything. This is going to make huge impacts in. Your hobbies will probably change even. But yeah, look, don't make any mistakes about it though. This is like really hard. It's going to be really hard. But if it was easy, like, look, you wouldn't be sitting here watching it right now. And I'm glad that you are. You're taking the first step. The system that I'm going to put in place for you is going to see you with knowledge on how to eat, how to train, how to think for the rest of your life. And it really is just giving you access to like life-changing information, great methodologies. And yeah, we just want to reset that mindset. And that's what's going to happen if you can take this plan and run with it. Anyway, moving on. So the disappointing statistics. Let's say you don't want to take what I'm saying at face value. Let's have a look at some of the statistics. So 74% of men are overweight or obese. That's 3 out of 4 men. And that's not a health crisis. That's the fucking collapse of masculinity. And if you think carrying a belly is normal, then understand this. What it's doing to you is it's destroying your testosterone. It's increasing your risk of heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, erectile dysfunction even. And the worst thing is no one fucking respects you for it. Not your boss, not your partner, not yourself, your family. Fat's not just an unhealthy thing. It's a visible symptom of someone who's fucking given up. You lose 1 to 2% of your testosterone every year after the age of 30. By 40, you've lost 20% of your biological age. And that is what makes you a man. Like, that is literally your drive. That's your aggression. That's your ability to build muscle. That's your libido. So goodbye sex life, if you have any. But yeah, look, the worst part is that being fat speeds up this testosterone loss. Maybe you don't have a sex drive already. Maybe it's kind of that far gone, but it is reversible. Look, the longer you wait to take action, like the harder it becomes to kind of reclaim that guy that you once were, or the guy that you're meant to be. So yeah, if you want to feel like a man again, like, you have to earn it back, and you can only do that through this work ethic that I'm talking about. Yeah, you need discipline installed in your life, and you need control. Also, men with muscular physiques are rated significantly more attractive and respected 37% more on average. Let me be blunt. You're not overlooked because you're too nice. You're overlooked because you're forgettable. Literally. Like, you look like the rest of the population. Why would you want to look like 99% of the population when you could look like the 1% of the population? Those phase 4 men. Women want men who look like they can protect them, who look like they can provide and perform, obviously, in the bedroom. And outside of the bedroom, who knows, maybe they'll have you washing up. Hopefully not if you're a phase 4 man. Anyway, weak bodies send a clear message. It sends the message of, I can't handle myself, and I definitely can't handle you. And look, respect starts before you even open your mouth. Your body is kind of like your first handshake. So look, once you achieve that respectable physique, the world around you, as I said, it changes. You're going to start finding people want to be around you more. People want to come to you for advice, and your work life will become easier. Your boss and employees, as I said before, they're going to respect you more. And look, daily interactions, they become easier, just in general. People are going to actually start to stop and look at you on the street. And this is kind of it's not a big one, but it is a big one because it's something that's super noticeable. Like, when's the last time you had someone stop and turn their head to look at you in public? Because I'll be honest, before I was a phase 4 man, I could have counted it on one fucking hand for my whole life. And it was probably for all the wrong reasons that they even stopped to look at me anyway. And now, I don't say this to sound cocky, but I literally don't go a day without it. I've had women stare into my eyes as they walk past me on the street, as though they're in like some sort of trance, and bump into shit. And it's not like that sounds really cringy and cocky, but it's genuinely a true thing, and it's probably the same way that women feel anyway when men are just walking past them and staring at them 24/7. But yeah, you'll get a taste of that as a phase 4 man, and it'll probably make you a little bit uncomfortable, or it'll bring you great joy, who knows. It definitely makes me slightly uncomfortable. I'm pretty introverted and don't like being looked at without knowing why. Anyway, it doesn't boost my ego because, like, I know what it took to get to that point, so I don't let it kind of affect my ego. I know that at any stage it could be taken away. I could become a fat fuck tomorrow, and yeah, that would all just go away. But look, if you'd have told me as like a 16-year-old kid back in school that I'd ever have women bumping into me on the street, like there's some sort of fucking magnetic field, then I would have thought you were crazy, or like, I would have definitely questioned you and been like, that's never going to happen. Sure, okay, bro. But look, now it's literally a reality, and it can be for you as well. It doesn't take, it takes a lot of work over a solid amount of time, but it's doable. Like lots of men are doing it. But yeah, 9+ hours daily. That's how long men spend looking at screens. And they spend less than 2 hours a week exercising. So when you tell yourself you're too busy, you're not too busy. You've just lost your drive. And look, you're watching other men win while you just sit there and waste away. Like that extra Netflix episode, it's costing you your energy. It's costing you your focus. And all in all, it's going to cost you your legacy if you don't do something about it. Comfort is like a drug. And every time you choose the couch over a challenge, you're dosing yourself into decay. No person of value will ever be impressed by the fact that you just binged every season of The Office for the 3rd time this year. You know? It's no one's impressed by that. So yeah, that 9 hours daily is going to be cut right the fuck down in this mentorship. Let's talk some more brutal truths. 83% of men who try to get in shape relapse within the first 3 months. Kind of sounds like we're talking about drug addicts here. It's because we are. Like, food is a drug. Discipline without a system, it's just wishful thinking. So I'd like to introduce you to a quote I've got here. It's, you might know it. God, I don't usually talk for this long. I won't have a voice tomorrow. But yeah, you might know this quote. It goes like this. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? That depends a good deal on where you want to get to, said the cat. I don't much care where, said Alice. Then it doesn't matter which way you go, said the cat. It's written by Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland. And the point of that is, like, if you don't have a plan, then don't expect to get to where you want to be. You need a coach to get you to where you want to be. You could go and learn this stuff on your own, but it's a long journey. So that's the whole reason I ended up hiring a coach, and I learnt so much more from it. You'll thank yourself later, but yeah, if you don't have a plan, then don't expect to get to your goals, because you need a plan to get there. You need to be specific about what you want, and that goes for everything in life, really, but especially for fitness and achieving the body that you want, because there's a specific way to do it. Anyway, like without a plan, no support, like no one calling out your excuses, your habits are just going to collapse. If you could do this alone, to be honest, you already would have as well. So yeah, look, you need a method, you need a mentor, you need a mirror that's not going to look back at you and tell you bullshit. You might also literally need a mirror. Maybe that's what it will take, is looking in the mirror. But yeah, that's what you're going to get out of this mentorship, essentially. Like, it's going to be, I will be that mirror. Let's move on. 70% of divorces, they're initiated by women. One of the top reasons for that is a lack of attraction. Yeah, read that again. A lack of attraction. Love is not unconditional. Women are tired of, or your woman, she's tired of begging you to take care of yourself. She's sick of feeling like she's parenting her partner. And to be honest, when a guy loses his edge, she feels it in her gut. You'll feel it too. You'll know it. Yeah, love's not unconditional. Attraction sure as hell isn't. You either grow together or you'll end up rotting alone. And it sounds a bit brutal, but it's the harsh truth. And if you're not actively becoming a man that she can admire, then you're kind of just waiting to be replaced, because there will be another man that will come along that she admires more. It's just the fact of the matter. It's nature. And look, I won't go into that anymore. Anyway, men without a sense of purpose, they're 3 times more likely to suffer depression. That like constant low mood that you feel, that like hopelessness, that's not just chemical. It is chemical, but it's not just chemical. It's the emotional rot inside of your gut of living outside of alignment of your true potential. Look, here's the thing. You are stuck in like a soft body. You've got soft habits. You're living a soft life, and you wonder to yourself every day why something doesn't feel right. You know? Like, of course, this is the reason why. You don't need a fucking therapist. All you need, you're a man, you just need a mission. You need a fight. You need a reason to rise up and actually do something. You need a reason to bleed for something greater. You need... Look, if you can't do it for yourself, then do it for the people around you. Stop being a burden, and become a beacon. Yeah, like, just do it for your family. If you can't do it for yourself, do it for your family. Do it for those around you. And in turn, you'll be doing it for yourself. Anyway, 1 in 3 men die from preventable diseases. Let me say that again, preventable. That means you chose it. You chose the fried food over function. You chose Netflix over discipline. You're numbing out over stepping up. A slow death isn't merciful. It's fucking pathetic. What's worse is leaving your kids without a dad, or leaving them with a coward who never even tried. Guys, this is your wake-up call. You're not just fighting fat here. You're fighting mediocrity. You're fighting weakness. Look, you're leaving a legacy of failure. Don't give up too early. This isn't about just having abs. It's about becoming someone that you and the people around you can respect. So look, what's the program actually look like once we've got it fleshed out? Camera is about to die. You're going to have access to an app that we can both see. On that app, you're going to have meal plans. You're going to have, and I'll personally put these meal plans together for you. They're not just going to be cookie cutter stuff. You're going to have access to be able to tell me what foods that you do and don't like. I'm going to do that on the initial onboarding anyway, but you'll be able to tell me what foods you do and don't like, so we'll be able to change those up whenever you need. You're not going to just have to eat chicken and rice every meal. That being said, once you see what good food does to your body, then you won't be reaching for DoorDash as much as you do now. And maybe you'll be choosing chicken, rice, and some veg over that. Each meal in the plan, it's going to have like an exact caloric and macronutrient breakdown. And we'll go into that later, but it's going to be specific to your goals. Like, this doubles as like a really good way to educate yourself on what foods have what amount of calories, and like what will help make decisions around food just easier in general, like on the fly. You're going to benefit from that because you'll be able to guess, like within good reason, the amount of calories in like your breakfast, for example, when you're out at a cafe, or if you should go for the burger and fries over the lasagna the next time you're at dinner. The app's going to be updated weekly after I've received your check-in. So you'll do a check-in once a week. The check-in's going to include a list of like information about the week prior. And that should be updated daily. And it's going to be the main driver on the way that I kind of continually shape and reshape your plan. The app's also where you find your training plan. It's all like an all-in-one thing, just for ease of function. And in that, it's going to show you how to perform certain exercises, as well as cues that I want you to think about when performing each exercise. So your exercise selection is going to follow a weekly split. It's called a split. You may have heard of that before. This is kind of just a different, a section of like different muscle groups that'll be trained on different days. Like for example, I may choose to have you adhere to like an upper lower split. This would literally see you training your upper body on one day and then your lower body on another day, and then like a rest day or 2 rest days, and then repeat. So yeah, each split is going to be specifically formulated within your own ability. So if you're able to do certain things, then I'm going to put them in there, and they're going to progressively get more challenging. But if you have a reason why you can't do that, like let's say you've got injuries or something, then you're not going to have crazy things in there that I'm not going to expect you to perform things that you physically cannot. Like we're going to find ways around that, and that's my job as your coach. So yeah, it's going to be based on what access to equipment you have, what goals you have in mind. But yeah, anyway, each day of the split, like the app's going to inform you which exercises to do and how to do them. It's going to, like once you complete an exercise, you're going to note it down in the app. There's a space for that. The amount of repetitions that you get, and then also like how it felt. And just the main purpose of that is just so that we can log your progression. Or as we call it in the gym community, we can track your progressive overload. And that's like the key performance indicator to how well like the diet's going for you. Especially if you're in a caloric surplus, which means you're eating more energy than you consume. You're consuming more energy, than you burn each day. Then we would expect to see like an increase in strength across the board. But if you're relatively new to resistance training or coming back after a while away, then it's totally normal for us to see progression even when in a caloric deficit. So where you're essentially burning more energy than you're consuming each day. Whereas an experienced individual will usually lose strength or not gain much strength in a caloric deficit. We generally expect to see regression there anyway. It's always different for everyone, which is why this is important to not have a cookie cutter approach. But yeah, the app's going to have like an area for check-in photos. You'll take check-in photos once a week. So we can have a visual kind of stance on the changes. It's important for like the diary. It's important for me to be able to see what's going on because the scales do lie. Weight doesn't really mean anything. It's good to be tracking that daily. But yeah, speaking of, you're going to fill that out each day in the app as well. There's a spot for that also. So every morning that you wake up, you're going to jump on the scales without any clothes on, just so that we can get an accurate scale reading each morning before you've eaten anything. Excuse me. You're going to receive, after you've done all that, you're going to receive a weekly check-in video where I'll go over your check-in photos, weight fluctuations, your training sessions, changes that I'm making to your plan, so I'll explain them to you. And I'll change your mindset program as well with like a list of things that I'd like you to adhere to for the week. So it might be like mindset challenges. Might be like, I'm big on like, I know I said motivation's bullshit, but motivational quotes can be really helpful. So something to think about whenever you're feeling down. It is more of a mindset thing than a motivation thing. And because like being able to quickly change your frame of mind is huge. It's the difference between you going to the fridge and getting your meal prep out than doing the old DoorDash on the phone. It's the difference between you skipping the gym or not. So yeah, that's what you can kind of expect with the mindset training, plus a lot more. I'll have a lot more in there as well, but it really comes down to you and what I need to put in there for you. But yeah, any questions that you have after the check-in, I'll address that promptly so that you can kind of get on with your week and continue to crush the goals that we've set. But yeah, Did I miss anything? Progress tracking? No. Here's what happens when the system clicks. You're not just going to lose fat, right? You're not just going to gain muscle. Hopefully you do both of those things. And if we can do them simultaneously, then great. It's technically not what's supposed to happen, but with newbies, we can see that. You're essentially, once this clicks, you're going to become the type of man who can wake up early without an alarm. You're not going to second guess hard decisions. You're going to walk into a room and you're going to know that you're fucking respected, right? And it just keeps compounding. Like, you make better food choices. You train harder. You sleep deeper. You carry yourself differently. And look, people around you, when all those things happen, they notice. And that's really what like the Salty Ethos is about. It's more than macros and reps. It's a mindset. It's a mission. Like, this is being a man. So if that sounds like you, if you're a man between 25 and 55 who kind of feels like you've just lost your edge, and you want to build a body that commands respect, maybe you're tired of being like the joke of the group or just fading into the background, then yeah, reach out. Maybe you're just ready to show up for yourself fully for once in your fucking life, with some structure and some intent. Yeah, if that's the case, then this is your blueprint. I'll install this system into your life like some sort of computer program, and then you can finally see what you're made out of. But yeah, look, guys, I'm not like, do we need that photo moved? Just to cop the bicep in there? Maybe. Worked hard for that. I told you I'm not cocky. Maybe I was wrong. Look, guys, I'm not, let's move that back. That's me. There we go. I'm not asking you like to commit to 6 months right now. I just want to book a call. It's free. I just want to see if we're actually capable of working together, because now everyone's going to be able to commit to this sort of thing. As I said, it's like 95% mindset. So I need to figure out whether you have that mindset first. But we're going to essentially, if you book a call, we're going to see where you're stuck, what it's going to take to break through. And if it's not a good fit, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you literally will walk away with more clarity. And if it is a good fit, we go all in. I coach you. You get the full Salty Ethos installed into your life like a computer. So yeah, look, click the link below, book the call. Let's figure out what's been holding you back and how we can break through it. Look, worst case, you get clarity and go your own way. Best case, we change the rest of your life, sir. If you're still unsure, here's the worst thing that happens, right? We talk and it's not a fit. I point you in the right direction. That's it. There's no pressure. This is not like some weird sales tactic. This is just me providing clarity. So yeah. But look, best case scenario, you finally get out of the dark pit that you've been stuck in for fucking ages now. Think about it. You've been in this pit for so long. That's the whole reason you've watched to this point. You'll be able to get lean. You'll be able to get strong. You'll become confident. You'll become the man that other men look to in admiration. Look, that's what we do inside the Salty Ethos. So let's go. Thanks heaps for sticking around and watching, guys. Yeah, hit that link. That'll take you through to a call with me. You'll be able to book a call with me anyway. And I really look forward to speaking to you guys as well. Thank you. All right, so you made it to the end of the video. That tells me one thing for sure is that you were probably born before the year 2000 and you don't have TikTok brain, which is huge. That's great. It tells me also that you can sit through a relatively boring span of time and deal with that and know it's for your own good, because a lot of what we do is going to be similar to that. It's going to be long stretches of what seem to be boring, and at the same time, it's all worth it in the end. And that boring time will go through. It'll pass by so fast. So look, if any of that resonated with you at all, any of that video resonated in the slightest, you'll see a link below. You can hit that link, and that's going to take you through to book a call with me. The call doesn't have to be long. I would urge you to do it anyway, though, if any of that resonated with you. And then in the call, we're going to find out whether it's for you, whether the program's for you at all, whether you'll even be a right fit. Because believe it or not, a lot of people aren't the right fit. I don't want to work with a lot of people a lot of the time. However, you might be one of those people that I do like working with. So book a call and find out, because I'll leave you with some valuable tips and information either way. But yeah, so look, honestly, thanks so much for watching that video, sitting through all that. And I hope to speak to you soon. Cheers.